Sorry, should put my audio on. Hi, everyone. Anybody watching this on catch up? I'm just logging in a bit early to see if anybody's going to come into the Zoom room live. So I'm going to put it on pause for about 3 minutes, get started bang on 8 o'clock, in case anyone was able to log in. But otherwise, yeah, just press play in 3 minutes and you'll have your video. See you in a sec. All right. Hey, welcome to Wellbeing Wednesday. I know that obviously everyone is all around the world doing this at different times. So I just wanted to say, I hope that if you had any questions, feel free to send them my way. Kind of after, you can reach out and say at the underneath, like any of the posts on Bond's page. You can ask if you wanted to reach out with anything that you wanted clarification on. Yeah, any extra support, just let me know. So today's session is actually a little bit more about how trauma is stored in the body. And I've always found this such an interesting concept. We're in a bit of a new wave. I often bring a little bit more of like the physical aspect to releasing some of our trauma or emotion, and any pent up energy that feels a little bit heavy or negative. And that's because I have learned over time that movement, breath, doing something physical, even journaling, something like that is actually like very powerful for us in our brain as well as our body in order to kind of release and let go of anything that kind of feels heavy that we're holding on to from our past, anything we're projecting in the future. I personally found lots of the techniques I'm about to share with you, maybe things you've come across before, but I found them very helpful in having something tangible to do or a process to go through, in which I was able to like tackle some of these feelings and, like I said, let them go. So it's kind of like catch and release. Let's tackle it. Let's release it. Um, so trauma is often deemed as being stored in the body, not just in our thoughts. I'm sure you could know that from like that sensation that we often get, like maybe the tightness in the chest, anything at all extra that you might feel based on holding kind of stress. So when we experience anything traumatic, we often hold memories of these events through tension, through pain, and even illness. That's how kind of it manifests in us, which are probably things you know. Obviously, we talk often, myself and Bond, about how trauma activates that fight or flight and freeze. There's a few other, you know, words that fit under the fight or flight response in our nervous system. But when that state is unresolved, our body remains in a heightened state of alertness. And again, that continues to store that trauma, that tightness, that tension, that stress within our muscles, in our organs, and in our tissues. And I think sometimes we underestimate that how much it affects us physically, if we are experiencing a long stretch of fight or flight, or feelings of anxiety or tension, like that's the kind of language that you might connect with. And trauma manifests in many different ways. It's different for each person, but one is sometimes chronic pain. So I definitely am somebody who I can tell you where I hold my stress. That's a phrase we often use. Oh, I really hold my stress in my shoulders. But that's very common that we hold it in our neck and our shoulders and our lower back. And from some of my research, a lot of that, the neck and the shoulder pain, often actually comes from the jaw. So whether it's the way we sleep, we might like hold the jaw quite tightly. Maybe it's the way we hold the jaw when we're thinking. Maybe when we're in a state of fight or flight, we're really like clenching, or the jaw is just not relaxed. And then in turn, we're holding the shoulders up when we're feeling that sensation of I suppose the fight or flight, or that anxiety, or any of those kind of feelings, anything that feels heavy, stressful. Often we kind of hold our body in a different way, a little bit more tense, right? Imagine like really, so take a minute for me, just tense the body up without realizing we are doing this with the body sometimes, and that might go on for a while. So of course we might experience like quite strong neck, shoulder pain, and inhale, hold it really tight and release, drop the shoulders. Awesome. So even an exercise like that, sometimes, in terms of something physical, I often will like lie in bed, tense the whole body, squeeze, 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 holding the hands, squeezing the toes, tensing the lower part of the legs, the glutes, everything, even if you want to tense the face. And then 3, 2, 1, breathe in and just let it all soften. Yeah. I love that. It makes the body remember that there's another place, there's another state. So if we really exaggerate that like feeling of being intense and just let it go, that's a way in which we can kind of just address physically, I'm holding tension in my body and it's time for us to let it go. So, this is how, trauma, stress manifests within us. Sometimes there's a correlation between stress and trauma with the digestive system, or your digestive issues, that gut brain we talk about often. I know that you have a session often on nutrition, but that the gut is quite powerful in obviously sharing information about how you are feeling. And it's very powerful to kind of just listen to how you are in your digestion, and maybe address whether things could be better, whether things are all good. But sometimes that's a big issue. And for me personally, I can say to you that before I started to tackle and do the inner work, I had been going for like copious amounts of tests thinking that I potentially had Crohn's and colitis and many other illnesses, but it turned out I had none of those. The experience that I had was my way in which I was storing trauma, stress, past memories, holding on to things that I just hadn't been tackling through some of this inner work. So, holding on to that, checking in, you can resolve that. I 100% am on absolutely no medication, but by doing some of the inner work, moving my body, for example, doing some yoga, walking, drinking more water, listening to what my body wants, that sort of thing. I can definitely tell as well when I am in a place of stress based on kind of listening to my body, holding, and where do we hold that in our actual like muscles and organs, right? So listening to the body and really spending time connecting with the body is quite powerful because it's something we can physically do to just release. Obviously, I'm sure we've all experienced like fatigue, being exhausted, maybe restlessness. Again, that's a form of us, like how it manifests in our body. Emotional numbness. Sometimes we feel like a little bit of irritability or overreaction to things because maybe that's like a connection with us not sleeping, the restlessness, feeling uncomfortable or digestion, our gut, chronic pain. All of it can add up to like one big snowball of just feeling rubbish. So I really want you to think about the fact that you can tackle anything that you're feeling that is heavy. You can tackle it as well from a physical point of view, not just working on your mental toughness or your, exploring your neuroplasticity and things like that. It's all so powerful, but if we can piece it together, it is magic. And I can share personally that I found an into the inner work from the physical, from movement, and from doing physical things like this. So yeah, just I often call them, like, you can see a lot of terms at the minute about like somatic movement. So somatic symptoms are kind of like in the body. So something as simple, I think I kind of started it with this idea, do you feel anything different in your body, like your chest? So if you've ever felt that tightness or a lump in your throat, that feeling, just before you're feeling uncomfortable, that is your body telling you that there's something there that's feeling heavy, stressful. Let's kind of try and get into a calmer space. Maybe it just happens when you remember something painful. So this is your body often kind of expressing a bit of unresolved, maybe stress or sometimes actual trauma in the body. It kind of depends on what stage in your processes you are with all of that. But you can work to heal a little bit in like the physical as well as the mental. And that's what today's a little bit about. Let's focus a little bit on the physical body as well as the mental. All right. So there's many different ways to release trauma. And many of you know that yoga is something that I have found very powerful in terms of like body work. If you are searching maybe for movement from a very, like you've never done it before, yoga is one of these things that does genuinely help release trauma through mindful movement. It is not as maybe intense as a HIIT class, which you can absolutely go and sweat out and let go and release a lot of emotion in that style of movement. But because yoga incorporates breath, a lot of work is twisting and breathing to the belly. You're starting to work the digestive system. You're starting to really work right into a vagal response, the vagus nerve, which is like in the belly and connects all the way to the brain. I think we've done a little bit of training on that. Very, very powerful, the vagal response. And yoga actually works towards like the main goal is to get yourself into that calm, parasympathetic nervous system and move through that. And a lot of the movement also allows for meditation. It's kind of like a moving, meditation, which then is starting to support you in resetting in mind, so that you can kind of see things from maybe a calmer, clearer point of view. It allows the body to process some trapped emotions and relax, that nervous system. There's many different styles of yoga. So if you're new to it, I just thought I'd take you through a few examples. Yin yoga is actually the style of yoga that I first found accessible. I hadn't often done yoga. Obviously, you find it for the first few times. And yin yoga focuses on a deep, slow stretch. You hold the postures for quite a long time. So if you'd imagine I asked you to breathe in, wherever you are, just twist. So literally just turn the body to one side and twist. And we might stay here and just breathe in quite a long time for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm not going to make you do it, but just hold that twist. Let's do a little bit. Inhale and inhale, exhale, sorry. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. And in a yin yoga class, we would stay much longer here. We would just close our eyes and just twist and breathe. And inhaling, slowly moving to the other side. I'll invite you just to twist to the other side. You can hold the handles of your chair or your sofa, or if not, just stay nice and upright, breathing in and breathing out. Nice one, breathing in and breathing out. Good. Feel the belly expand, breathing in and breathing out, coming all the way back. So in a yin class, again, you'd stay much longer in both of those poses. Sometimes in an entire 45-minute to an hour's class, you may only just do 10 movements, but you would stay a long time, close your eyes, just relax and breathe. It's really quite powerful. And some of the poses, such as child's pose, or anything that's kind of a forward bend, they're often very restorative. And there's also a style of yoga that you would call restorative yoga. And a lot of that is very, again, simple movement. If you were to lay down on the floor and just bring your feet onto a chair, the backs of the legs, the lower part of the leg, that kind of calf muscle, if you were just to lay down and relax the legs on the chair and just chill out, all of that is restorative. It's actually really great for the lower back, but also you're allowed to take some time to breathe, and you're starting to kind of just release the body and give yourself permission for the body to come out of fight or flight. And that's really important that we do that often and very mindfully say, right now, maybe you're a little bit in fight or flight, maybe you're not. I'm going to check in on you, buddy. I'm not just going to kind of go through the motions, and I'm going to breathe and I'm going to say hello and I'm going to see where you're at. And that's what yoga is really good at. It allows you to see, am I holding stress on my shoulders? Oh, my hamstrings are super tight, which is very normal, but maybe not a place where we hold a lot of stress, but there is tension in the body everywhere if we are holding in that space for long periods of time. So you'll be able to feel it. Deep work in the hips. When the hips are tight, often the hips are synonymous with emotion and stored trauma and relationships and things like that. We'll talk a little bit about an intro to the chakras, because that's body work as well in this session, but I'm just trying to give you another flavor of different holistic approaches out there that will help us just maybe kind of release physically. There's trauma sensitive yoga. You can find a class. Many teachers are trained, and actually it's specialized practice where it just focuses on feeling safe in your body, and gently explores movement without triggering your trauma response. And I think that that's really powerful. If you find movement, or sometimes it's triggering to maybe feel confident in a class or doing movement, you can absolutely access things online as well. But there is such thing as trauma sensitive yoga or yoga for trauma. So I want you to know that, maybe for me personally, it helped me go from a place of very very negative thinking about my body. And now it's in yoga that I have been able to find like a better connection with this like physical shell. And it's really helped me work through a lot of things that I had just been like, I suppose, holding on to. I definitely feel like a different person from doing physical work, trauma sensitive yoga, yin yoga, and restorative yoga. Those are three awesome ones. Hatha's great. Vinyasa is a little bit quicker, any kind of style of movement. But if you were wanted to understand a little bit more, that's very helpful. Restorative yoga, like I said, is kind of the example where I said you could place the legs on the chair, but there's lots of props in that class often where that it just supports your body. You might just go close your eyes and relax over a pillow in many different ways. The teacher will show you ways in which you can just like almost snuggle into that pillow, add a little twist. You're tapping into so many other aspects of the body, and it gives you like a really deep emotional release. So something to think about if you've ever shied away from it. It's all good. I'm not sat here promoting everybody go to yoga, but it is a proven physical way in which you could work towards releasing anything that's feeling stressful, heavy. I always like to use the word heavy. There's a really lovely phrase that comes across yoga that, you often start the class by saying, maybe you can set an intention in the session to release anything that is not serving you. And I love that phrase because it doesn't have to be yoga. Maybe, we could be doing something each day to try and let go of anything not serving us. And what do we mean by not serving you? Like, what is not making you feel your authentic self, right? When we feel we can just be ourselves, that's when we feel free. When you feel like you can say what you want to say and you don't feel suffocated by opinions or scared what other people are going to say, like we feel this ability to move forward. And I think that's obviously key. So finding some space and time for you is important in your process, finding some space to kind of grab onto some of these physical techniques. Yeah, I think another one that I would love to point out in terms of movement, I'll move on from the yoga in a minute, but also they call it something called legs up the wall. You can Google it very easily and see a photo, but it is genuinely as simple as coming as close as you can to the wall with your hips, flipping the legs up and just bringing them up on the wall. You can have the knees bent, the legs extended. If you have any lower back pain, you can put a pillow underneath you, but kind of flipping upside down, I think is a powerful metaphor for flipping perspective, but equally it's a very, very powerful easy movement that you can do at any point. If your bed is pushed up against a wall, you can just literally just roll over and put your legs up the wall. It's that simple. Just close your eyes, put on some music that you like, something hopefully more relaxing. I wouldn't necessarily say like throw on Metallica in that moment, unless that's a very relaxing experience for you, but the nature of the music notes maybe isn't always that vibe, but listen to something that's calming, just lie there, close the eyes and chill and do something physical, and maybe in your mind just breathe in and breathe out. And the other aspect of yoga that is key is that it also brings in that element of pranayama, which is a fancy word in Sanskrit for breath work. And breathing in itself, you can find, I'm sure you've seen it across a lot of our training, but breath work is magic. There are, obviously you can see out there, you can go to like many different styles of just breathing classes. And I think breath work can be so powerfully healing as well, depending on maybe the style at which you want to try, but just slowing down that exhalation. I think I say this often, but just breathing in and slowing down your exhalation. Goodness me, that is magic. Doing it over and over and over, just trying to make your exhalation slower and slower and slower, mouth open or closed, whatever you feel like confident with, that is your short circuit to calming your nervous system. And I know we talk about calm the nervous system all the time, but if we can calm the nervous system, that's a physical element in the body that is hindering us from thinking clearly. That is often like a response when we're in like that amygdala response. We are in that like very, alert, we're, high tension, and we want to come from that really calm space. And you can get there. And sometimes it's doing something physical. It might just be putting your legs up the wall or going for a walk or, physically moving your body so that you can start to kind of just shift a little bit of what's going on in the mind. Awesome. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. I don't know, it's coming, I think. Bear with me in the talk. Um, Another thing, I don't know if you ever heard of this, but it's called emotional cord cutting. And I have had some training in taking people through emotional cord cutting. It's a little bit of a mixture of, well, mostly it's like visualization work, but it is a really lovely, powerful way to kind of just like maybe like release a little bit again of any of that stored stress within us. It's a technique about releasing emotional ties or cords that bind us to our past traumas or that bind us to any individuals who have caused pain. And I remember being in a coaching session years ago and someone taking me through this process. And I found it quite powerful to be able to just release some of that energy, some of those ties, some of that like, we feel, I'm sure you can connect, like there's people that seem to emotionally have like a hold of us. There's like sometimes we can't set the boundaries that we want to set. We struggle to voice what we feel we want to say sometimes with certain people. It's so powerful and interesting to kind of reflect on that. And we can actually become energetically, I suppose, entangled with people or situations, which keep us stuck in cycles of emotional distress. So I'm going to take you through a few steps for emotional cord cutting. And again, I want you to imagine like right now, maybe think about a person or an event or a feeling that you feel attached to. So I can think personally of like maybe it could be a friend, it could be like an ex-partner, it could be maybe something that you ruminate over, it could be a feeling, whatever it is. I just want you to kind of see if you can just kind of visualize that. What is it? What is that person? Can you see that person? Can you kind of reflect on the feelings that like are generated in you? And that's the first bit. So we just want to identify which cord we want to cut. So I want you to imagine that there's like a cord, kind of like a string, I suppose, that is between you. It's got a little bit of hold on you. And then make sure, obviously, hopefully right now you're doing this training in a safe space. It's relaxing. You're sat listening, you're learning, you're doing the inner work. I want you to feel comfortable to either look down or close the eyes. And we're going to breathe, do a little bit of breathing just to center ourselves. So now that you kind of have what you want to release, we're just going to take a moment just to get ourselves into that calm nervous system. So if you feel comfortable, just close the eyes with me, inhaling and slowly, slowly exhaling. Breathing in and slowly, slowly exhaling out. Good. Inhaling. Exhale, feel the breath move down the throat, past the chest. Just see if you can send it down a little further. Inhaling slowly. And slowly exhale even further. Let it go. Lovely. I'm going to do 2 more breaths like that. Inhaling slowly. Just feel the breath move in through the nostrils, and we exhale. Send the breath maybe down the throat, out the mouth if you like, and just feel the body soften. And last one, take it slow. Inhaling And when you're ready, slowly, slowly exhale. Really, truly just let go. Beautiful. And then soften into the chair. Allow your eyes to just feel really heavy. Closed or looking down, just drift. Now, in this moment, from a really calm place, stay there. I invite you just to imagine a cord or a string that connects you to the person or the event that you feel has a little grip on you. This cord could be attached to your heart. Maybe it's something that you feel a little bit more nervous in the stomach. Anywhere you feel the weight of the trauma, you might even feel it like attached to the shoulders. Wherever you feel that trauma, if it's all of it, just imagine you just have this like cord that's coming in and maybe just attaching to those bits of your body. Good. Breathe in with me and slowly exhale. And in this moment, I want you to recognize that you, just by choosing whatever it is, whoever it is, I want you to know that that is you recognizing right now that you are ready to just let go of that tie, even a little bit right now. It is time. And I want you to visualize like a giant pair of golden scissors. Breathing in and slowly exhale, breathe out. I want you to imagine there's this like lovely beam of light kind of coming into the space. And I want you to breathe in deeply and affirm in your head. I want you to cut that cord. And I want you to say in your mind, I release the emotional attachment with love and forgiveness. I let it go. Just feel the scissors cut, hear them slice, feel the light shining. And I want you to imagine all the cords, one or all of them, wherever you had them attached, it's gone. It's just drifted away. The cord is gone. Again, breathing in and breathing out, listening to my words, feeling it, believing it, saying it in your own head. I release this emotional attachment with love and forgiveness. I let it go. Inhale and slowly exhale. I release this emotional attachment with love and forgiveness. I let it go. Next, I invite you to bring your feet and just make sure that you place them on the ground. Just see if you can feel the feet rooted and grounded. Imagine roots growing from them to the earth. Just taking a moment to kind of ground your energy into the present. In this moment, you feel free. In this moment, you feel grounded and safe. You are home. Inhale, just imagine that lovely light shining in, and all that you can see around you is like white light. Almost imagine you've got this like layer of white light all around you, kind of glowing, almost like this beautiful armor. None of the weight can touch you in this moment. You are free. You let it go. Inhale with me through the nose and exhale. If no one's around and you feel comfortable, just make like a sound, a lovely little sigh. Just let anything out in the body that you're holding on to. Inhale, let it go. Amazing. Well done. And then begin to bring the hands together, rubbing them. You've got it. Feel that energy in the hands. Slowly bring them up over the eyes. Begin to flutter the eyelids open a little bit, separating the fingers. You've got it. And just bring yourself back into the space. And that's a really like simple way to experience emotional cord cutting. If you're looking for more, you can probably type it in Google, some guidance in emotional cord cutting. If it's something that you're interested in from a deeper level, I could do probably a whole well-being session on it. But I do think it's a beautiful visual technique that also connects a little bit with the body. Oh, and hopefully that you feel maybe just even the tiniest bit more of a sensation of release. The more you do it, the more the mind and the body are going to work together to help you kind of let go of some of what you're holding on to. Some of the benefits of cord cutting help us just regain our energy. Maybe when it feels depleted, we've been doing a lot of rumination, just like take some time to do something like this to like release. It gives you autonomy. It clears any of that emotional clutter and gives space for healing and self-growth. It kind of opens up those doors to come at things from a much more positive space as well. I find that I come back and back to these things when all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, why am I so all up in my head? Been doing such great work. It's just sometimes time to come back to it. I also find very simply as well, like sometimes lighting a candle, having it in front of you, kind of a beautiful, easy way to meditate or calm the mind is just to watch that light flicker. But equally, you can kind of use this affirmation or release this emotional attachment with love and kindness. The love and kindness that is just saying that, like, I'm not going to hold on to any guilt or shame. I'm letting this go with love and kindness. I'm going to just do this. Sometimes it's just letting go of a toxic friend or the emotions around that, whatever, a relationship. Like, I let it go with love and forgiveness. I'm good. I'm good. I'm releasing it from a really happy place. That's a good space. And when you have that candle, if you didn't want to maybe visualize a cord, maybe you could do both. Cut that cord, inhale, blow out that candle. It's a beautiful physical movement, using the body, using the breath, and seeing it go. So I love that one as well. Lighting a candle, blowing it out is so good, so powerful. Amazing team. So that's another way in which we can physically, with today's focus on kind of ways in which trauma is stored in our body and what are some different things we can do that connect mind and body to help us release. I think that's a really nice kind of little dip your toe into what emotional cord cutting is. And maybe if you felt that was something that you connected with, amazing. Again, you can come back, replay this part of the training, go back to it, or even explore it a bit further. Or yeah, let me know if you want to request me to record an emotional cord cutting setting. I'd be more than happy to do that session, for you, to take us through a live one that you can go back to that's just on that topic. So if that's interesting, let me know. The next one is another one in terms of like ways in which we can release trauma. And I'm going to kind of touch upon something that I just want to introduce you to, because many people find addressing, understanding, and looking at the chakras, they find that a really powerful tool for healing. And again, that is, I suppose, like a physical entity. Now, I want to make it clear that there are very different views on the chakras. And I think from somebody who has a background and training in Reiki, I definitely feel that the chakras are something very tangible in the body. And I'll take you through what science suggests. But where it is energetic work, from maybe a skeptical point of view, I also think that there's maybe, if you don't believe in the chakra, then that energetic system, there's also just like a lovely connection with each of the chakras. If you don't believe in that side of it, they could be a very powerful metaphor for feeling balanced as a human being. And I personally made a strong connection with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The hierarchy of needs kind of suggests there's like layers in which we need to feel like as a fulfilled self. I definitely go through Maslow's in another one of the talks that I've done for well-being, if you've been part of the whole journey. So you can maybe like, if you ever went back to that triangle, that is great. And the chakras often link actually to all of those layers. So from a scientific point of view, I'm going to take you through what the chakras are, and you can kind of make a judgment on how the chakras might be something that you could further explore for your physical healing or your journey. But as always, I often like to say that like all of the things that Bon and I are throwing out to you, it's like a buffet. For some of us, like energetic work is really going to be something people grab onto. And for others, it might be the science. Others, it might be a mixture of all. Maybe somebody likes to just go boxing. You know, our healing is different and the things that we connect with are different. So the last little section here is just a little dip the toe into the chakras. Again, if you'd like to know more information, I'm really keen for any feedback, because the chakras are like Marmite, we say in the UK. You either really believe in it or you have a lot of skepticism around it. So the belief and the studies suggest that from a very basic point of view, that chakras are like energy centers in the body that help us to stay balanced and healthy. Imagining them like spinning wheels of energy that kind of line up along your spine. That's the kind of idea. So if you were to imagine like spinning wheels, thinking about a rainbow, you'd often like see these colors. There's many images out there. You'd kind of have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, kind of indigo, and we move into, you know, sometimes white light, depending on the, you know, the healing at which you're studying. But the centers are almost this idea of like this energy, these circles that are spinning around in a straight line throughout the spine. And it's suggested that each chakra has its own special job when they're working well. And we feel happy and strong when everything is working together. And I think that that's like with anything, when we look at what each chakra represents today, you'll know actually whether you believe in the energetic system, you'll also understand that metaphorically, yeah, of course, you're going to feel out of balance if, you know, what the representation of your yellow Manipura chakra, you know, of course you're not going to feel totally balanced and in a really happy space if, you know, that is out of alignment. So we'll keep looking at it. If one or more of the chakras get blocked or out of balance, it can make you feel tired, upset. And understanding these chakras can really help us find a way to feel better and in tune with our body, and in tune with our emotions. There are 7 main chakras, and each one is connected to different parts of our body. So that's the body brain connection, you know, that we were looking for in today's session, and our emotions. So body and emotions. They start at the base of your spine. So yeah, they start at the base of your spine and they kind of go all the way up to your head. And each chakra has its own color and symbol, and they all play a really unique role in keeping us happy and healthy. So I thought we could explore each of them. Again, it's a little dip your toe in because today's session is mind and body work. So this is all connected with different aspects of the body. Your root chakra. It is the very first chakra, and it's located at the base of your spine. It's kind of like the foundation of your body. It helps you feel often grounded and secure. When this chakra is balanced, you feel safe, confident. It connects with feelings of like feeling stability and belonging. I've always been taught that like the root chakra is connected with the color red. And I want you to imagine that like, if you think of root and the word root, I always think of my roots, and it allows me like, do I feel safe in the space? You know, do I feel connected? That sort of thing. It's kind of thinking about where you root, thinking about your foundations, those really good, strong things. Your basic needs like your food, your shelter, your safety, things that you have around you can help you focus on that root chakra. Just, going for a walk in the woods, spending time like in nature is really powerful, doing activities that make you feel connected. So just feeling part of something, do you feel connected to being in this like beautiful human experience in this like quite magical world if you can take yourself out of our stress. So the root chakra is important for our overall well-being. And it's something that, if we don't feel balanced in that root chakra, but of course, if you're looking at it just from a metaphorical point of view, of course, if the basic needs aren't met, if you're feeling uncomfortable, we're living in tougher financial times, or, we're not feeling maybe that safe in our home, then obviously that root chakra will be kind of disrupted. And things like Reiki, any sort of like healing touch, there's so many different things you could go to have somebody look at, chakra healing. If you wanted that energetic work, or you believe in energetic work, it is a really nice, kind of like going for a massage. If you've not had Reiki before, I do think that it's something that is worth maybe trying out. Some people feel a lot, some people feel nothing, but it is, for me personally, like one that I would say don't rule it out. Your second chakra kind of moves up. I'd say that it's located just below your belly button. It's called your sacral chakra, or sacral, however you want to say. Kind of different in different countries. But your sacral chakra, or sacral chakra, is located just below your belly button, and it's linked to creativity, emotions, your ability to enjoy life. But it is also quite connected with I want to say like your sexuality, maybe, anything, if there was any sort of experience of trauma there, like that could be out of line. So I want you to think about that. But when you are in balance, when you're thinking about that kind of sacral chakra, you feel joyful, open to new experiences. You feel, quite, I'd suppose, feeling creative, feeling as if like you feel very open in terms of like having conversations with new people. Maybe, dancing feels good, or anything like that. It's interesting, but that's quite a powerful one. There's so much more to this. This is a very simple breakdown just with time. And, today is just talking a little bit about that mind-body connection and ways we can release trauma held in the body. But the sacral chakra is often associated with the color orange, and there's like different symbols for each of them as well. So yeah, just a little touch on that. The solar plexus is one that I personally run many workshops on, because I think that it's a really powerful place located in the upper part of your abdomen, in and around your stomach. And I think like doing things like twists and belly breathing, I feel like it's really powerful in activating that vagal response that we spoke about when we think a little bit about that chakra. And it's often located there and connected with feeling confident and control in your life. So if you are struggling with feeling confident, self-esteem, feeling in control, then maybe you have a little bit of like energetic work to do in that solar plexus. And if it feels blocked, sometimes you feel a little bit powerless. Maybe your self-worth is a little bit wavering. And so I think that we all feel that at some point. I think that we all can experience imposter syndrome, all of these things. And so I think it's really interesting to kind of look a little bit at that solar plexus chakra. Yeah, I think it's pretty powerful when you're talking about feeling confident, because confidence is so complex, isn't it? So keeping that balanced is great. And you can do that by doing small things like setting goals and achieving small goals, and you start to kind of build that up. And just, I think I said it was associated with the color yellow. I'm not sure if I did, but kind of that association. And there's many beautiful meditations that are connected to the chakras that will take you through different ways in which you can just imagine them spinning and finding a little peaceful place to focus on each area as you kind of move up the body. Your heart chakra is located in the center of your chest. It's all about love and compassion, your ability to connect with others. If you're feeling out of whack with that one, obviously that you're going to notice that. But when this chakra, they describe them as like your chakras feeling open and balanced, you feel like loving and connected to people, both yourself and others. So, feeling a little bit better or being kinder to yourself as well. If it's blocked, you might struggle with feeling maybe a little isolated and sometimes lonely, or have, some of your relationships, just you're not sure where they're at. And that's absolutely normal in all aspects of life. But your heart chakra is that energetic center that is described as being something that if we're unbalanced, then maybe we need to kind of focus on that. Maybe do, work through the Reiki, follow a guided meditation through the chakras, maybe read a little bit more about each of them if you're finding it interesting. And again, it's all mind body because there's a connection within the body. We're talking about an energetic bit of work here. And there's ways in which you can, find yourself centered. And you could also, have different treatments in which you can potentially have a little bit of grounding and centering done for you, I suppose. The heart chakra is the color green, and it's, supports your ability to love and be loved. So practicing things like kindness, and spending time with people that you do love, that you really love, enjoying, laughing, spending time with, those are the things that like fill that cup. And I think that's a good way of describing them. It's like, I sometimes imagine, maybe it's my own analogy, but like, sometimes those like, those cups are depleted. You're right. Maybe we just have to go back to it and refill that cup. And that's what, life throws us. It's hard to stay balanced. It's hard to keep all of those things spinning. Number 5 is one that I think where we, if you can feel safe and you can continue to build through these, I think that number 5 is your throat chakra. And your throat chakra is often the one where many people get stuck. That's like that, physically that lump in your throat. And I feel like that's the one, it's linked to communication and self-expression. If there's something that you've never said out loud, it's something that you need to work through, an experience that you've had that you're keeping a secret, or maybe there's somebody, like your emotional cord cutting, there's something you've just been struggling to like just say it as it is, or you fumble around sometimes when you're speaking with somebody, you think, I don't know why I didn't say what I wanted. I don't know why I couldn't say no to that person. I don't know why that person has that like energetic emotional grip on me. And you might feel very unbalanced, like in that sort of situation, because you're not able to say and speak, what you wanted to say. And that is going to make you feel unbalanced, isn't it? So it helps to, listen to yourself and to others and try your best, whether it's sometimes like writing it in a letter if you didn't get to say what you wanted to say, but like expressing yourself honestly, learning that it is okay to say no and not fearing someone's reaction. Your answer is no, and that's it. I love that. I love this notion of like, you don't have to feel in your life anymore that you need to justify your decisions and saying no. Just say no. It just doesn't work for me. Just say no. You don't have to explain yourself. Unless maybe it's something like a work thing that you're saying no to that you probably shouldn't in that situation. Just voice it. Explain articulately and clearly and calmly. Actually, that is not something I'm prepared to do. I hope you can understand. Otherwise, there's so many things in life you just can make it a hard note. I'm really sorry, but no. And actually we could take the really sorry out, to be honest, but sometimes that makes the, a little bit of the empath feel better. But actually just saying no is so empowering. And sometimes that is enough to balance that chakra. So if that's blocked, you might find it hard to express your thoughts. Maybe you feel misunderstood. And yeah, it's effective for that communication. And it is something through journaling, speaking openly, honestly, starting, maybe even saying it to a coach or a counselor, the things that you've always wanted to say, but just can't get out. Just let it all go. Like, don't be scared to just let it go, because you're holding it physically in your head, in your body, in your everything. Just blurt it out somewhere that feels safe. Even if it's just on paper, just go for it. And I think that'll help you feel that like lovely, not just an energetic shift, but like feel a sense of release as well. It's all about letting go, isn't it? Um, your third eye chakra is your next one. So kind of the physical image of like being right here, located between your eyebrows, in the middle of your forehead, associated with intuition and insight, seeing things clearly. When this chakra is balanced, you have a strong sense of inner wisdom. You feel like you can be creative. You can be very confident in your decisions. And if it's blocked, you might just feel confused, foggy, disconnected. Maybe not kind of trusting like that intuition, that we have within us. But when it's really balanced, you're kind of like, yeah, I can feel, I can feel myself. I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. And you can very much like articulate what you need. Practices like meditation, quiet reflection, really good for this one. And it is the color indigo. I think I forgot to tell you throat chakra was blue. So they kind of go up in the colors of the rainbow. So yeah, and finally your crown chakra, kind of located near the top of the head. It's connected to a spiritual connection. So some of us, listening maybe have like a spiritual faith, belief, religion. And that is maybe like an element that for you is very, very helpful. Some of us like spirituality is maybe not something that is there for you, and that's okay. You don't have to have a belief in a higher self, but for some of us, this is like a really nice chakra for you to kind of just, when you're connected with some sort of spiritual connection or enlightenment, or, just kind of understanding that we're living in this very unique world. When this chakra is balanced, you feel like kind of a sense of peace, and a connection kind of with just being in this world, this universe, that kind of thing. And if you feel connected to something bigger than yourself, often it allows you to feel grounded. It allows you to be mindful. What is this life? It is pretty crazy to be sat in a house or at home learning about our brain, about this like very unique human experience. If you really think about it, like just like waking up every day is pretty cool if we can get out of that rumination, if we can get out of our head. And sometimes it's really healthy to just look around and be like, whoa, like I am like a walking little human being and I'm living in my head, but these things are happening. And I can see these like insane trees changing colors. Like if you find a bit of mindfulness, I think that you can kind of find a bit of balance. The color of your kind of crown chakra is violet or white. And it's a something that supports maybe that spiritual growth, or just an overall sense of well-being. It doesn't have to be faith, but if you do have a faith, that's where that might fit. And to keep it balanced, you just kind of explore, any of those spiritual mindful practices. Anyways, I've gone on and on. You're getting a full hour out of me today instead of the 45 minutes. But just to kind of recap here, again, any questions, please send them my way. But today was about exploring like how trauma is stored in the body, and ways in which we can release that. The mind body connection. We're looking at like what can we physically feel and what can we maybe do. And we looked at emotional cord cutting. We looked at some yoga practices and movements. We looked a little bit at the fact that healing is a journey. And by integrating some different techniques, maybe trying things, learning a little bit more about some of these more holistic, maybe energetic approaches, it might help you to allow yourself in body and mind to process and release some of these old wounds. So yeah, just remember, I suppose healing from trauma is a really long process. And it's okay to take one step at a time. Be really gentle with yourself. And don't be afraid to kind of try out some of these kind of mind-body connections. And yeah, I hope that you've gained maybe a few more tools, or if there's a few of these, like what are these chakras like that people are talking about? What does that have to do with the price of eggs? There's so much more to go into that. I'd be more than happy to take you through it, but hopefully maybe you're exposed to a few more techniques to release trauma stored in the body. And that's me for tonight. I will obviously post this in a moment. Peace and love, team. And anybody that's continuing to follow this week, I will be with you on Friday for the Bonds Deep Dive. I'll be taking that over while she's on holiday. And some of you, I'll see you at the Mastermind last Wednesday of the month. I think that's in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, peace and love. Take care, team. Yeah, go easy on yourself. Deep breaths. Hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever time it is. Cheers.